Hi, it's Sharon Livingston, and here's my funny story. It was a number of years ago, and without me knowing it, my husband created a surprise party. It was my 40th birthday. It was a very unusual surprise party. I walked into Plaza Research to do a series of 4 focus groups. I only did one because it was seeded with some unusual characters. The first thing that happened, a man walked in with his shirt half out. I'm remembering it as I'm telling the story. And he was slurring his words and waving his arms and, kind of like blubbering the way someone super drunk would. And I had to try to manage him and, invite him, but keep him quiet so he didn't interfere with everyone else. Someone else started sniffing, and they were wondering where the pot was, and one person got up and walked out to see if he could find it. Another woman started crying at the concept, and she just started breaking down. She was leaning over the table. Someone sent a love note across the table to another person there. And then it was a man who sent it to a woman, and another woman liked the same man, and she sent him a note. This was all going on at the same time. And it was really the group from hell. I couldn't believe it. And in the meantime, I was getting all these messages from the back room that kept on sending in messages, ask this, ask that, or you're out of control of the group. What are you doing? What are you doing? And it got worse and worse and worse. And I kept it together. I kept it together as well as I could. And I left the room exhausted, and I go into the back room, and there are 100 people standing there yelling surprise.
Hi, everyone. Mark Truss from Wunderman Thompson. This story actually came from a qualitative researcher friend of mine, Earl Wilcox. He was down south somewhere doing some focus groups on chewing tobacco. And as part of that, he had a little microphone in his ear so the back room could talk to him. And one of the guys in the focus group said to him, they were asking him, where do you like to spit your chaw when you're chewing? And one guy said, yeah, I spit it anywhere I want. I spit it on the floor, wherever I am, I spit it. And the back room, one of the clients asked him in his earphone, what does his wife think of that? So Earl said to him, what does your wife think of that? And the participant looked at him really shocked and said, my God, I heard you think that before I heard you say it. And he was stunned by it, which I thought was hilarious.
Funny focus group story. So around 2009, I was a project manager in Qualitative here in San Diego for a small boutique company, and we were hired by a large national sandwich chain to do some taste tests. Well, 4 of those taste tests were for hummus consumers. So we recruited for the groups, and then we were informed that the end client and the hummus manufacturer were going to be present behind the glass. And so we were excited about that. And they started serving the hummus sandwiches. And it turns out it was just hummus on top of bread. And so after the third sandwich was served, a very large gentleman stood up and yelled, "What's up with this hummus crap? Where's the beef?" Immediately followed by another guy who said, "Yes, this hummus stuff sucks." And then everyone started mumbling. So immediately I wanted to start laughing. Held my composure, went, escorted the 2 gentlemen out, had them paid, came back into very livid clients who were not happy with the professionalism of our respondents. And needless to say, I've never seen hummus sandwiches on this chain's menus.
Hello, everybody. My funny story took place some number of years ago. I was younger in my career, and we were working on a study for erectile dysfunction, of all things. My boss at the time was a 40-something-year-old male. So, of course, he was the one delegated to do the moderating. We thought that would be, the most appropriate, talking to men about their erectile dysfunction. So we were doing a series of interviews, and I was in the back room taking notes, and one respondent shows up and requests to the front desk, do you have a female moderator? My doctors are all female. I'd be much more comfortable talking about this to a female than, another guy. So we said, sure, we'll accommodate, and I went on in. Well, this guy turned out to be a dirty old man. He started telling me about his use of Viagra by himself. He didn't have a partner. He wasn't married. He used it by himself, started describing that, and then went to reach for a picture to show me how it worked. Luckily, I stopped it in time before I got a glimpse of the picture. And in the meantime, as you can imagine, my boss, Wes, Michael, he was in the back room laughing his butt off, trying to get other colleagues on speakerphone to hear this live while it was happening. Needless to say, this story has gotten me lots of mileage over the years. It's been a fun one to retell.
I began as a qualitative moderator for kids' toys. That's basically what I did. And one project I was moderating involved prototypes of dolls, and I was responsible for transporting them from city to city as we did a cross-country study. At the end of the second day of research, and we're in the second city, I was fast asleep in my hotel room when I heard a noise and shut up in pitch black room. My heart was pounding, and I made out something that sounded like a child saying, "I'm hurt." So it took me a couple of seconds to realize the sound was coming from the box of dolls. And even though I had turned off all the dolls, the shifting of the dolls in the box must have turned one switch on. So I never made that mistake again. From then on, I always removed all the batteries before I packed them up. And the doll that was crying was a doll who you played doctor with. So this one didn't involve me screaming into the halls.
Well, hello everyone. Quite an interesting story. Dan asked me to actually video this. As you know, when you moderate online, some funny things can happen. And I had this participant where she was with her tablet, and throughout the beginning of the focus group, she kept on moving from one place to the other, up to the point where I told her, please, I'm going to be seasick. It's just like, stop moving, But she just couldn't. She probably was ADHD or something, but she kept on moving and moving. And once she got up, and as expected, she was still moving. And suddenly I see that I'm seeing the ceiling, and I kind of understand that she's literally in the washroom. So she goes about doing her things. Thank God she did put the camera up to the ceiling, but then we see her standing up and go like, okay, and there we go. And she went back doing her things, and we did the focus group. It was just so hilarious because the group was in French, and Quebecers are somewhat polite, I think. And nobody said a single word, but we just could see the eyes going, oh! Anyways, so quite a funny story, and more to come. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Greg Carter with Consumer Opinion Services, and I've got an amusing story from a casino gaming focus group slot game test that I conduct each year at that industry's biggest trade show in Las Vegas. And this was pre-COVID, of course. All the major gaming manufacturers have huge elaborate booths at this show with all of their new gaming offerings on display. We conduct a player focus group in the booth before the show opens each day, where we have about 20 recruits engaged in a play session with about a dozen different game titles from which the client wants to get consumer feedback. Since we're at a trade show booth, there's no back room, and the clients are watching the proceedings live from a discreet distance. Not only are the game developers and game producers and research staff present, but so is the entire C-suite of this Fortune 100 company. So the CEO and all the VPs are there. We're about halfway through the gameplay rotations when suddenly one of the respondents gets violently ill and projectile vomits all over the slot machine that he's playing and sprays the respondents on either side of him as well. everyone was kind of in shock at first. The staff helped the poor guy to the restroom, and then housekeeping started the process of cleaning up the considerable mess. The game developer, Sean, who was watching with a group of clients nearby, didn't quite know what to think, and Dan, the VP of marketing, turned to Sean and summed it up for him by saying, "I guess he didn't like your game." So that's my Barforama story.